Drive at Five show. This is Catherine Tyson, your host, and I am here on Thursday's Success 101. You guys have joined me. Thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. Yesterday's show was awesome. If you tuned in, it was Ruthana Young. You know her as a former host, and I just know her as a sister friend. And we just hung out and had a great time. Girl power, I love that. So if you're listening, Ruthana, thank you so much. Stop in anytime. You have a seat here. You know you do. You know you do anyway, right? But welcome, welcome, welcome to the show. Uh, it is Thursday. It's rounding off my week, so I get kind of excited. It feels a little bit like Friday for me, but just glad to be here and glad to once again bring us just a story of success from a Caymanian, right? So I love that. I'm all about that. I'm all about who's going to take over, who's going to be at the helm. When some of us go sit down on our porch and hang out, and the country's in good hands. So just love that. I keep saying that. Yesterday was my birthday too, so everybody knows, right? So let me tell you, I just want to start today's show with a motivational quote. And never apologize for having high standards. People who really want to be in your life will rise up to meet them. Right? So that is our quote for Thursday Success 101 today on December 3rd, 2020. We are rounding out the year. Today, I have a great guest. His name is David Gordon. He's a realtor. Uh, he's probably a lot of other things too. But I just wanted to just welcome him. We can just jump right in. He can tell us all about himself. I'll read the bio at some point. But good afternoon and welcome, David. Thank you so much for joining me this afternoon.
Good afternoon, Catherine. Thank you very much for having me. I love your motivation, by the way.
You do.
Yes.
It's good, right?
Yes, that was awesome.
It's
Rise
good.
up.
I like it. I like it because when I think about people like yourself, I think about the fact.
Correct.
And sometimes people struggle with that, but it's okay. It
Yes,
means that they got to just reach it, right? Like if you settle, if you lower your standards, then that's representative of you and what your work is going to look like. So let people be motivated by that and they will rise up.
absolutely.
They will.
Absolutely.
So a little bit about you, just what I have here, just a little. I'm gonna just a little bit about this, just so you can start you off. Um, you're a relationship manager in one of Command's largest Class A banks, and you decided to change careers.
That's
Now, tell
correct.
us a little bit about that. First of all, just lead us to it,
Okay, very
right?
good. Again, thank you for having me, Catherine.
Well,
I
thank
really
you for
appreciate the
joining us.
opportunity.
Thank you.
I returned to Cayman in January of 2008 and took up a role with one of the large local banks as a relationship manager, which basically means I was helping a book of clients with their banking needs, whether it be mortgages, other small loans, credit cards, accounts, things of that nature. After 7 or 8 years of doing that, I felt that I needed to do something different and just sort of that burnout feeling. And from there, I and transitioned to real estate. And happy to announce that I just celebrated my 3-year anniversary with my current firm, and it's been going really well thus far.
Wow, that's really good. Now, I do see also in your bio that you spent more than 9 years working abroad.
Yes. So after high school, I transitioned to the US and continued my studies, and then went on to university in North Carolina, finished up in South Florida, and then stayed on and worked in the US for a few years as well after that.
Where?
Town college called St. Andrew's Presbyterian College.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. My sons went to University of North Carolina, Charlotte.
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 Okay.
UNCC.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we went to Chapel Hill first, and then we didn't like the town too much. So yeah. So it was pretty close. They started in South Florida,
Okay.
which was interesting. So it was the opposite of you.
Yeah.
And so you ended up where in Florida? Where did you end up finishing your education?
At Florida International University
Okay.
in Miami.
Okay, the famous FIU.
Correct.
I went to FAU.
Okay, I'm a Golden Knight.
Yes. Okay. So we were rivals.
Yes.
Okay, and then you stayed on In Miami then?
Yeah, in the Florida area, yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
bank was it?
No, well, I started out actually selling cars.
Oh,
So I
okay.
was selling cars while I was going to college to help, and water bills and things of that nature. And then once I finished my university education, I was working as a marketing manager at Cayman Airways. And I worked at Cayman Airways. And
Right. Or a salesman.
let me tell you, that was an awesome experience
Oh,
and one that I lean on heavily even today.
you can sell ice to Eskimos. Those car salesmen in Florida. I've bought a few cars in Florida. I lived there for 12 years
Yeah,
before coming back home. So
yeah,
if you can sell cars in Florida,
yeah.
man.
Toyotas, not just cars, Toyotas.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. And so what was the pull kind of first before we get there, let's talk about uh it- just kind of growing up then. What did you want to be? That question, what do you want to be when you grow up? What did you want to be?
Well, I like to say that I was raised in a middle income family where both parents were working. And the goal was always to get an education that would facilitate some type of job career that you could support yourself. I can't tell you honestly that I wanted to be X or Y. I just know that I wanted to do something cool and have fun doing it. But as life has it, and for me, it was building a life around an income, and in this particular case, from the banking side, that you may not totally be in love with. And I think if there's a few messages that we get across today to people listening, is that it's okay to be in a position that you're not totally in love with, but it's also okay to pivot and move into something else, whatever that may be for you. And so that's kind of where my story really takes off when I was able to pivot and move out of banking and move into real estate.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think also, and I totally agree with that. I think I'm always kind of talking to people about starting somewhere. Like, and young people also, you don't have to be sure of what you're going to do. Like, you can be, you can still kind of not know what you want to do, and you can still really be in the market of trying some things to see what works.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And not just young people, but people of all ages, right? Like, so you hear stories all the time of accountants leaving accounting or lawyers leaving law firms to go start restaurants or to go start photography businesses. So it's not just young people, it's any age really that
Right.
that if you're not totally satisfied with what you're doing, there's choices and there's options for after that.
Absolutely. And choice, that's a great word. Choice and options. When you have that, that's kind of almost like those successes, right? Knowing that you have the options, knowing that you can make a choice and that you are making a choice actively. I work with groups of young people, and sometimes when I hear them say they don't know what they want to do, those are the things that I say to them, like, it's okay, it's all right, calm down.
Yeah,
You don't have to kind of be confused for the next few years. You can just try different things.
of course.
And I was working with a group today of not young people, but more, transitional, that have been affected by COVID. And we talked a little bit about what your needs are versus what you're accustomed to making. So you're accustomed to making this, and then you lose your job. And now you're very stressed because you feel like that's what I need to be making. But if that's not an opportunity right now, what are your needs? And so if you're able to kind of narrow that down, you can give yourself a break
Yeah.
and say, okay, I'm willing to start somewhere and see where that kind of goes, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely. And I feel sorry for those who have lost jobs and have been impacted by the pandemic. But there are lots of opportunities in the Cayman Islands. And I would encourage our brethren and sisters in the tourism sector and in the other sectors that have been affected, get active. Get active and get out there, because there's opportunities available. It may not be exactly what you're looking for or what you're accustomed to, but there are opportunities. And with the will, I have a great feeling that lots of our people can re-engage and
Yeah.
get back on the wheel.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're so right. The opportunities that are here may not look like what you're accustomed to seeing. And so you might just need to make some little adjustments in your own brain to kind of go with the flow, right? Everything around us is changing. So
It,
we have to flow with the
we
change.
have to,
Yeah,
or we're going to get left behind.
absolutely. I
Yeah.
think so. And so that brings us to where you are. Real estate. It's
Yeah.
not a highly Caymanian saturated field, is it?
It's not. It's
Okay.
not, but it can be. And
Why do you think it is? Why do you think it isn't, first of all?
why it isn't?
Yeah.
It isn't, in my opinion, because I don't think we've done a good enough job as a country selling it to our people. Sales is something that can be learnt and taught and acquired if you have the drive to do it. We joked about car salesman earlier, and I shared with you that I took a lot of experiences away from that. But you don't have to have sold cars to sell anything.
Right.
Our people need to understand that there's an opportunity there, and it's a great opportunity.
Yes.
And we have many people in the Cayman Islands selling real estate that have come from all over the world and have made a great living for themselves and their families. And it's my hope that more of our people, our local people, will see the opportunity, prepare themselves, find their place in that. Should that be something that they'd like to do?
Right. It's funny because I talk about sales quite a bit, and I do a sales course. I used to do this years ago. I developed a sales course, and I did find that most of the people that came to the course were people that were not from Cayman, and I found that Caymanians, for some reason, struggled uh, with kind of selling or closing the deal. Like for some reason, it's this pride thing.
Yeah.
It's the weirdest thing that I would find, and it's like almost like shame face. It's something, you know what I mean? Like I'm trying to understand our culture, right?
I can share with you exactly what I think it is, and it's the fear of rejection. So
Ah,
it is the of
right.
and I go back to my car history in that business. The goal was to hear 20 no's because the averages said that once the 20th person told you no, the next person was going to say yes.
Wow.
And so that taught me many lessons, including sales, but also in other relationships. And you can think about maybe in dating or going for a job interview where you may be rejected.
Right.
But if the worst thing we're going to hear is no, how bad is that really?
And you
And
might
it doesn't mean no, doesn't necessarily mean no forever. It
right.
might mean no
Right
right
this
now.
second or no
It
for
might
that.
mean no for that. It may mean no because David, you don't have any hair. It could mean no for a bunch of reasons, right?
Right.
But we
Right.
take that rejection so personally that we kind of crawl back into the shell. So to answer your question, it's the fear of rejection, in my opinion, why we may not be as assertive and willing to hear no.
Oh, that you just dropped some nuggets in here. Like honestly, that was just a nugget for me because I can see it in so many different areas. That is exactly it. You're so right. And an example is I've said that to a young person about sales. I was like, if you've not called 20 people, it's funny. I didn't even know about this
Yeah, yeah.
20th no, right? I just said,
Hmm.
if you've not called 20 people, you can't be discouraged. Like because I'm telling you, if you call 20 people, you're not going to hear no 20 times. Like you literally are there's going to be an opportunity somewhere and you might get a yes
Yeah, it's a numbers game.
or call me back
Right.
or maybe next week.
It's a numbers game, and you have to be committed and prepared to hear no a few times before you hear yes. And then there's the case where you'll hear no or you'll hear a yes and then it'll change to a no. And so you have to then have the emotional intelligence to deal with that
Right.
and the mental strength to say, I got a yes, but then it switched to no. How do I switch it back to a yes? Or is it now a hard no?
Right.
And so those are all things that you can learn and be taught and experience. And so, yeah, that's why I think there's an opportunity here.
Right.
There
Well,
is an opportunity. Not that I think there is an opportunity here.
absolutely, and I think it's funny too that you're saying that because in the sales course, that I do teach, it really is about understanding what the person is saying, right, and understanding their needs. So I remember I sold a lot of things in Miami. I worked as a telemarketer a lot
Okay.
in the boiler room
Yeah,
situations, right,
absolutely. Yeah.
and there's like 10 of us on one line and we're all on the phones and they'd be like if we got that customer to be like, well, I don't know, like we just had to press a button and that button would ding our supervisor. He'd pick up that line, he'd hear it, and he'd be like, all right, it's time now to tell him, hang on a second, and now this guy's coming in and he's going to close that deal.
Absolutely.
And it was
Smiling and
it's-
dialing is what we call that.
Oh my goodness. It would be the bell ringing and because you just made a sale. And I was selling Notary Public on the phone.
Uh-huh.
I was selling art pieces on the phone, vacation opportunities. I mean, you name it, because being new and being young in the States at that time, wasn't a whole lot of jobs that you could just get. Being,
Right.
I'm not American either, right? So it was like all of these opportunities. And trust me, it's really something. And I think like that's it. How do we weave that into our culture then, to understand that it's not about rejection?
No, it's not. We do it by having conversations like this, and encouraging our young people through the school systems, and like job fairs and events such as those, because as we've talked about, there is an opportunity here, and
Yes.
and I think as our people grow and as we mature, we can encourage them to take advantage of this opportunity.
Oh, wow. Okay. So let me ask you this then. In terms of when you are selling and you close a deal, what, because your paycheck is on commission, right?
100%.
100%. So what could be like your smallest, your smallest deal that you close, and what would that commission check look like?
I mean, if you the smallest, it's all numbers, right? So I mean, when you say the smallest, it could be $200.
Right.
But I think I'd like to steer the conversation away from the income um part of the real estate conversation, because that's what kind of creates the hype and the glitz and the glamour about real estate,
Right.
and it's so much more than that, because
Other words, then it's not as simple as what a paycheck would look like. It's
No.
so many different streams or so many different avenues.
Correct.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely not simple. As we talked about, it's a lot of hard work, but it can be done, and it's about managing your time, managing your fish. We're not going to earn an income.
Okay. So how would somebody get into that if they're
I'd sponsor you, and then you would then sit the CEREBA exams. Once you pass those 3 exams, then you become an agent, and then you would go through the firm's training program if there's one in place, and then you start building your business.
okay? So, and the exams that you're taking, obviously, like they're a study opportunity.
Yeah.
Like you study for them.
They give you the material. You have 2 weeks, I think, to do each exam. You study, you pass, and then you're licensed to go forward.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you technically are not able to sell real estate until you're licensed to do so.
In CEREBA, which is the larger body in the Cayman Islands that governs real estate, there are a few independent firms that there is no such body. So if you were interested in joining one of those firms, then there is no exams that I'm aware of that are in place to do that. But if you wanted to join a Cereba firm, then yes, there are exams.
And so, what would be the difference between joining a Cereba firm versus a non Cereba firm?
Well, Cereba is the largest body, and we have the larger number of firms and employees and agents, which therefore means we have the larger number of listings and properties for sale as well. So, in my opinion, there's a greater opportunity being a student on works.
Great. So, would you say that this is where you're landing, or this is just kind of where you are right now?
Where I'm landing,
Yeah.
I'm really passionate about what I do, and I get a lot of pleasure of my work. Real estate for the rest of my career, not really sure of that. But right now, this is something that I'm enjoying. I'm learning, continuing to build my own brand, and it gives me full control of my time, which is the most important thing for me.
Okay. And so what does that mean then in terms of your time? So obviously it's not a 9 to 5. So what do you mean, just so the listeners can kind of understand what that means in terms of having your own kind of autonomy with your time?
Yeah. So my time, I schedule my time. And so whether I am showing homes or doing open houses or meeting with clients about potential new listings to sell their properties, I schedule my time. So for example, last week, Friday, my son had sports day at his school. And so my time was scheduled that I could be off from 10 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. while he was at sports day.
Okay.
And so it's that flexibility and control that is the most meaningful for me. And I think for a lot of people, because again, you have that flexibility. Some mornings I get up at 6:30, and I'm working by 7 a.m. Other mornings I may not go in till 8:30, 9 a.m. So it really is the flexibility depending on how you have your life schedule and what you want to accomplish. So
Okay.
it's the time. And that's, like I said, I can't stress that enough. When you have control of your time, it is a whole nother world that
Yeah.
we operate in.
I agree. I agree with that. I started off my career in the government as a social worker, and that was very much a flexible thing as well because you're visiting clients at night,
Yeah,
7, 8, 9 at night, and so I could pick my children up at 3 o'clock. So I know time it translates to so much more than just money. You know.
absolutely.
Yes. So and um just I guess just enjoyment, right? Like just fulfillment of a job. Like that's important too.
That
Liking what you do.
it's a feeling that it's sometimes hard to describe because I think well, for me, I was in a place that was rewarding, but it was draining all in the same time. And I don't want anyone's an easy business because it absolutely is not. And but there is a certain level of reward that comes with being able to control your time, managing your time while still delivering for your clients.
Yeah. So yeah. So I think I'd want you to maybe just share a little bit about kind of the time that you spent in the financial world and what some of the things were that you thought would bring you fulfillment but then kind of became the thing that said no, I think I want to switch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So it was the money. It was
Oh,
the income.
okay.
It was the income while as a banker that you get, as I mentioned earlier, you build a life around, whether it's your family vacations, whether it's your children's schooling, whether it's the car, whether it's the homes, you build a life around that. And for me, that's exactly what I did. And then I realized that it was not something that I could do for the rest of my life, and I wanted to change. As a matter of fact, I thought I was having a stroke one day, and that really started the ball rolling for me. And that I felt I couldn't do it anymore because the truth is that banking has become more challenging over the years, and especially some of our local banks, the decisions sometimes aren't always made locally, and so you're having conversations with people throughout the region, sometimes even um, to try and get things done, and that quite frustrating. You just you just become burnt out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the money was good.
The money was decent in
Okay.
banking. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
But it just
It
wasn't worth the mess.
no, I'm not speaking badly of banking. Well, yeah, the funny thing is the reason I didn't get in real estate earlier was because I didn't want to work on Saturdays, if you can believe that.
Okay.
And now I look forward to working on the Saturdays because in real estate, if you're not working on Saturdays, you're probably
You're not
you're
working.
struggling as a realtor.
Okay.
And so once I got over that and realized that if I'm working 4 hours on a Saturday and can have a super productive day, I can still get to the beach and enjoy the rest of the day. So yeah, it was time for me to change.
Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. Right. I think I see a lot of open houses going on Saturdays,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Saturdays, Sundays, sometimes on a Friday, 2 hours at a time. We're doing open houses. Yes,
Oh,
absolutely.
okay,
Yeah, yeah.
good. So, and I think for me, like when you said an open house, I just automatically thought about, well, because my frame of reference just came from like Miami, where they are building these brand new houses, and then they have this show house. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about people that are actually trying to sell their homes.
Right. Yeah.
So
People
they
that are
need to
trying to
have.
sell existing homes, but you also have those as well, where you may have an open house at a site that's say not fully built, say it's 70, 80%. So a lot of clients can still see a lot of what's going on in the home and make a decision on whether that's something that they see that could work for them and their family. So we do open houses sometimes too at sites that are not fully finished, but
Okay.
far enough along that people can get a great sense of what the home's going to look and feel like.
Okay. All right. So yeah. So you're kind of you just cover the whole gamut then, right?
Yes,
Yeah. So anybody that wants to sell, buy,
rent,
rent,
absolutely.
you property manage.
A little bit of that, not very much of that, but yeah, absolutely. We sell, we buy, we help people rent homes. The market continues to be very active right now as we push through the rest of 2020 and looking forward to the great things in 2021. That's for sure.
All right. So we'll talk a little bit more when we come back, just about what 2020 looked like for you. Yeah,
Absolutely.
because you're still smiling, which is
You got
good.
to always be smiling.
Exactly. Well, you're listening to Straight Talk You Drive at Five show. This is Thursday Success 101, and we are talking to David Gordon, who's a realtor, and he was actually he was a relationship manager in one of Cayman's largest Class A banks, and then decided to change in the midst of that. And so we're talking about that because it's really about motivating and inspiring Caymanians to make decisions about their careers and in the directions that they want to go, and just to know that the sky's the limit, and not to kind of put yourself in any little box, but to kind of break out of that box and just do it. Like all the things that you think are they're around you, and it's like, oh no, maybe that's not for us, maybe other people are doing that. Absolutely not. There are opportunities everywhere. And so we're talking about that this afternoon. Of course, you can always call 943-3700 if you wanted to ask a question, or even just make a comment. But just be inspired. And those of you parents that are driving, inspire your children. It can happen. We're coming back with more Thursday Success 101, and we're talking with David Gordon. Please stay tuned for some more Straight Talk Your Drive at Five show. We'll be right back.
closings happening remotely and things like that. But it was a tough few months. And then we came out in June, in the end of June, we came back out, and it was crazy. It's like everyone was cooped up looking, planning to buy property. And when we came out in June, it was like a mad race to get to listings and to get people in these homes. And so between June and now, there's been a ton of activity in which there's been lots of real estate closings. And the business has done very, very well. And all indications are that will continue into, the first half of 2021. But yeah, it was a tough time.
Yeah, I can imagine. So I got a crazy question. Who's buying right now?
Who's buying right now?
Yeah.
Um,
I see a lot of development going on all around us, everywhere that we drive.
yeah.
Clearly, that's good for you. That's your area. But who's buying that stuff?
So right now in my business, there is a mixture of local clients, people who live on island, and whether it's funds that they've been saving up, or they see an opportunity now where they're ready to purchase. And then there's some U.S. and foreign investors that are also now looking at us as a safe destination, as a country that has handled this pandemic really, really well,
Wow.
and that has helped us as well. And so it's a good mixture of both right now.
Right. And I guess that's good for us as a country.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Because I think once we do get to a place where we can start to receive visitors, we're going to see a lot of these people that either have bought homes during COVID or are ready to buy homes and just want to get here, coming in here and spending a significant amount of time here, perhaps even setting up businesses, corporations, and spending more time here.
When you think of how small we are, how did people learn how good we were doing?
It's the world in which we live, right? Like, so statistics are reported for every country, and so they can see that we have practically zero cases. And again, the government, our country, has done a really good job in managing that. So yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You're so right. I'm very, very happy with the results. Very proud of them. Very, uh, just supportive of just kind of taking care of us. That's absolutely right. I just remember a time, I'm sure you do too, you were in Miami, when people never heard of us before in life, and I had to say it's close to Jamaica
Yeah.
or it's close to Cuba.
Yeah. Oh,
But I always
absolutely.
have to give them some point of reference. So,
Yeah.
and then the cruise industry was booming. They're like, oh, okay, the place you stop on, and Western Caribbean, right?
Yes.
But for us to kind of be that jewel almost in this whole situation is something else. It's a
Yeah.
compliment, right? An absolute compliment.
Hmm.
Now, you talked a little bit about opportunities
Yeah.
in COVID. I absolutely believe that. There have been so many beautiful blessings in the midst of this madness, for me and for people that I know. But what about opportunities that we might see, but someone else might not see? So, can we talk a little bit about that? Some of the opportunities, but also maybe the real estate opportunities as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So the real estate opportunities obviously depends on one's budget. If you're looking for a new starter home, if you're looking for an investment property, if you're looking for a high-rise condo, there are opportunities out there available now if anyone's interested in buying real estate. Um, but I think what I'd like to share is the opportunities that I see that support real estate. So, for example, boutique style marketing firms, photographers, videographers. I was very fortunate to connect with a young Caymanian just after lockdown that is doing his own photo videographer now. Just awesome work, and he's gotten some work with some of the large real estate firms. I wasn't able to work with him at that time, but certainly will be doing in the future. But it's opportunities like that where our young people can get in the business. Again, photos, videos. Young people are very good with technology, creating flashy videos that can drive activity to either have people call cell phone numbers, go to websites, click throughs. All that drives traffic, which realtors like, and so it gets our phones ringing, and then allows us to have conversations about real estate. Content creation. If you can put pen to paper and write a description of a property that will get people to click or call, there's a need for that in our marketplace right now. And And so those are some of the things that I see as auxiliary businesses that support real estate, that there's a need. There's a need. Just general marketing, because realtors, as much as we like the that side of it, we that's not what we're really good at. We're not
Right.
really good at, most of us are not really good at that side, the content creation. We're good at connecting with people, building rapport, and finding a property that will suit them and their family. That's what we do well. And so yeah, those are some of the opportunities, the immediate opportunities that I see in our community right now. And there's so much money flowing through this country right now that it could be so many other things as well.
Yeah, I think you're right too. Just marketing on a whole, period, because of the opportunities that I see. Social media, it's just, I mean, it's blown up, right? Because I
Yeah,
was teaching a class on Zoom for 4 months. Like I was in one chair for 5 hours every day, Monday through Friday. Uh, and that to me has just changed the world.
yeah,
So you can have access to people it's so quickly
yeah,
by this virtual world, and the younger people have so much knowledge about that,
yeah.
more than a middle-aged person or an older person. They're trying to learn to keep up with this stuff, but younger people are like, I mean, I got a 5-year-old nephew that's just like,
Right.
here you go, and he's just punching the buttons and handing it to me, and he knows passwords, and I'm like, how old are you?
Yeah, exactly. And it's not just like the content creation, especially. You can do work anywhere in the world.
Right.
So if you're a brilliant writer and you can help David Gordon sell 3 more properties next month, people are going to learn about you. And so you may have people contacting you from other parts of the world to have you help them write their pieces. So
Right.
it's not just limited to what's happening here in the Cayman Islands as well. So yeah,
Have
it.
you heard I'm a brilliant writer?
Are you really? I didn't know that.
I wrote a book.
Did you really?
Hey, I'm working on
Uh,
my second one. It's
Well,
coming out anytime now.
let's talk about that when we're finished here.
That's so funny. I'm just thinking, hey, people, there's money to be made somewhere. No, absolutely. I think you're absolutely right. And I really do like to just talk about those opportunities. I don't like to say the word opportunities, and people go, "What? What do you mean? Like, what's going on?" And so I think, yeah, this is an area that it can has room for localization. It has room for more locals. You're clearly a local, and in love with the work, and so why not? So real estate, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And there is room. I know that's probably going to be received a bit warmly sometimes, in that there's 230 odd realtors in Sariba. But I am a firm believer that more Caymanians have space in this business. And if you look around in other territories, that's who is selling those territories, especially within our region. And I'm just excited and looking forward to the day when I can be calling an Ebanks, a Bodden, a Bush, a Ramon, a Macfield, a Powell, and so forth and so on, and a
McLaughlin.
McLaughlin, and just having a connection, and so yeah, I just want to continue to encourage, if I can help anyone with any information, any type of assistance, I'm happy to do that.
Okay.
Again, because it's about helping others as well.
Well, I mean, absolutely, and I think, I really think that people like we've been talking about mentors. Reach out to mentors if you have any questions, if you have any concerns, or something that you thought, well, you think this, but then maybe that's not the way it is. Reach out to you, and they can reach you very easily. How can they get in contact with you
Yep.
and
So my
talk
direct
about it?
dial is 526-2236. That number again is 526-2236. And my email is david@tridentproperties.ky.
Okay, and if they needed any real estate needs, they could reach out to you as
Oh,
well.
absolutely. I am onboarding new clients as we speak. And 2021 is going to be a great year for me. And if there's people out there listening that would like to sell or buy a property, I'm happy to help.
Okay. And now also, how are you in terms of the whole process? Like the banking process, and do you kind of help people kind of walk through the whole thing, or are they to come to you ready to go?
I'm happy to entertain both ways. Obviously, I'm still quite familiar with the banking process and the systems in play and the appetites of our local bank. So I can usually help my clients understand where they may need to look first. But if clients have an existing relationship with their bank and want to meet with them first and then have a call and we see where we go from there, happy to do that as well. And I think that's a very important point. The banking element of real estate has become a bit more difficult, and you want to have frank conversations about that so that you're not wasting your time and wasting time of others, looking at something that you may not be able to afford, or the worst part is looking at things that you might be able to afford something a bit more, which may be more suited. So that component, that financing conversation, is so critical. And I'm still fortunate enough to have my background in that and still have a pretty good pulse of what's going on inside the banks, and can give some good guidance on where to look for financing needs if that's a requirement for clients.
Yeah, I think so. I think sometimes I kind of hear from our local people to the reticence a little bit because of the process, and so they're a little kind of, they don't know, so they're afraid to ask, and I always say go find out, like find out what you'd be qualified for,
Yeah,
or identify a house. Say, I like that house costs $200,000. What How can I be qualified for that? Your banker then can put in all the numbers and say, okay, this is what your salary needs to look like, so that you're not just having a dream in your head, but it's not specific. It has to be specific, because like you said, it can be that maybe you might be able to look at something in a larger price range versus something that might be lower. It could be that you just don't know your numbers.
exactly.
I
And
think
that's
that's
it.
important.
That's it. Knowing your numbers. You have to understand what you can afford, what you've prepared to buy. Do you have the required down payment? Do you have the other monies for the fees that are going to be required? Do you have all those
Exactly.
things in place? And if you do, then let's find a property. And if not, then let's prepare for that.
Right.
Because a lot of times in this business, someone may come to you in January and say they want to buy a home. They may not be quite ready yet, but by November they're ready. And
Right.
so, you're then ready to move forward and say, okay, let's go shopping now. And so, yeah, super critical. Highly recommend that.
Right. I mean, that happened when I was looking for some property. Uh, I was able to go to another street just because I thought, okay, well, maybe can I look at something else? And yeah, if you added 50,000 onto it, this is what you could be looking at. And so it was, it made so much sense, because in the long run, it might have been, it appreciates, right?
Yeah.
So you don't lose.
Yeah.
Generally.
Generally, you don't lose. I don't like to say that because that's dangerous in my opinion. Because
Yeah.
I've lived in countries, particularly America, i.e., Florida, where I've seen some things that just kind of didn't go the way that everyone thought it was going to go. So,
Right.
you're not likely to lose is kind of how I like to say it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
How is our economy being affected in terms of real estate? Are we going down now, or are we steady? Like how
In
is it looking now?
values,
Yeah.
right now values are holding. There's still option happening in different segments of the market, but generally we're still holding.
Okay.
Is there a possibility of a correction? It's possible, but I think it's a bit early to say that. I think with the pandemic and the vaccines and all that stuff coming online, how quickly can we get back to business pre-pandemic will play a strong role in how those play out.
What does it have to do with in terms of like the mortgage interest rates? Because that's been fluctuating. So that's coming down. There's no correlation between the value not value holding versus the mortgage going down,
No,
the
no, the
interest
mortgage
rates.
rates are again at historic lows again, but that doesn't have a direct correlation to values of real estate. No,
Okay.
no.
All right. Okay. Yeah.
It just
This
means that money is cheaper and a great time to borrow
Right.
if you need
Oh,
to.
okay. Which is good.
Yeah, if you need to borrow. Yeah,
So it's would you call it a buyer's market? Or
yeah,
yeah?
it's a buyer's market now.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because I see I know those words,
yeah,
right?
yeah. It's definitely a buyer's market. I
But
mean,
a seller's not losing if they choose to sell either, though,
no,
which
no.
is
We,
good.
I haven't seen any cases of sellers being disappointed with their offers. So yeah, but it's a still again, it's still an active market, and both sellers and buyers are in great positions right now.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
That's good. So we're doing good.
We are, as a country, we are doing amazing in real estate.
Wow.
Yeah.
Proud of us.
Proud of us, indeed.
Proud of us. And proud of you too, David Gordon, realtor, Trident Properties. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining me this afternoon to talk about a little bit about your journey, but also to fill us in on a lot of real estate information that sometimes we don't know, and sometimes we don't know who to ask, and sometimes we just walking around without the information. So it's always good for us to have some place to go, and appreciate that. Appreciate the fact that you shared some of your story, which is you were in banking and then you decided, yeah, it's not for me.
Yeah.
And so what do I do now? And that you were able to make that switch.
Yeah.
And if anyone listening is interested in real estate, it's not a difficult thing to do, right? You just have to be a good salesperson for sure.
It's hard work, but it can be done.
Absolutely. But what isn't? What isn't hard work?
Exactly.
That's what I say.
Yeah.
Like, what isn't? Because and anyone who can answer that and say this isn't, well, the results probably not going to be so fruitful either then, because you get what you get out what you put in is my belief. So definitely, if you're interested in getting some more information, you can always reach out to David Gordon, for sure. This is Success 101. It's every Thursday we talk to a successful Caymanian about what they're doing, just so you can be inspired and motivated that people in our own country are doing it every day. And we're proud of the other people as well. We're proud of our brothers and sisters from other countries. This is not about any separation, but it's really about motivating ourselves that we can stand shoulder to shoulder. That's what's important.
Indeed.
And that's the reason that we're doing this. So thank you all so much for tuning in this afternoon and listening to another story of a successful Caymanian. If you have anybody that you think we should feature, definitely be in contact with us and let us know. We definitely want to talk with them. Before we sign off today, just wanted to say again, RBC Caribbean Acts of Kindness is a call to showcase the ways in which Caribbean people are supporting one another and their communities and their country. And through this pandemic, we need to do that with each other and just celebrate the incredible acts of kindness and generosity of individuals across the Cayman Islands and the region. And of course, we'd love to hear of your act of kindness. So call us, at any time. And just one simple act of kindness during this festive season for our family and friends. Call an elderly person, mow the lawn, paint a house, buy a food basket, or give them a fruit basket, help a stranger, help somebody along the way. We encourage everyone to get involved this season and share your act of kindness stories at the Royal Bank page, facebook.com/RBC Caribbean. And that's just something that we should be doing anyway, but for sure during this time of year. So what are you doing for the Christmas season, the festive season? What are you doing? What do you have planned?
Christmas season will be friends, family, fellowship, church.
Okay.
And not necessarily in that order.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what have you started so far?
Nothing.
Nothing yet?
Nothing.
Okay.
How about you?
It sounds pretty busy. Well, yesterday was my birthday.
Happy belated.
Thank you. So I started that December, that whole month I'm celebrating.
Okay.
So I was born the beginning.
Yeah.
And so my mom used to try to get away with giving me a birthday gift and a Christmas gift. And I was like, my birthday is the 2nd. Christmas is 25th. No. so we've been celebrating the whole month for quite a long time. And I guess because I'm a Christmas, baby. I love Christmas and love the festivities, and we need it. And what we just been through, I'm telling everybody, get dressed up and get out of your house.
Yeah.
Go look for people. Go walk around Cayman Bay, take some pictures.
Yeah.
Just touch yourself. Just feel yourself. You're alive. You're here. Some people didn't make it.
Yeah.
And so, we want to remember them and celebrate their life, but also celebrate our life. And that, we're here and we're looking forward to next year. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
So that's it. So I'm looking for whatever there is to do. I'm hopping on to whatever. What you having something? I'm coming.
Yeah. Exciting.
So, and I'm pacing myself with the food. because we don't want January to be there like,
Nothing doesn't fit in
oh
January.
dear me, now I got to be with the resolutions and stuff
Yeah.
for sure. So yes, thank you all so much for tuning in this afternoon. You have a great weekend when it comes. This is the end of my week, but we will talk to you again on Monday when we catch up with Medical Mondays and catch up with Health City, who brings us our Medical Mondays and information on something medical that we all need to know. Thank you all so much. Have a great afternoon and safe ride home if you're not there yet. Take care. Bye.